Hey guys, I hope you're doing well since I've last seen you. As I described in class, today we are going to take some time virtually to go through the quiz that you took yesterday. So the quiz was on Act 1, and there were multiple choice as well as short answer for this quiz. Every question accounted for 5 points, okay? So it was evenly split. Even the short answer were 5 points. The multiple choice were 5 points. If you have half off, instead of taking half of 5, which is 2.5, I only took 2 points off, okay? So that's the way your grades were calculated. If you have any questions about that, please see me. Also, if there's something I marked wrong that is correct, that's something you should come see me about too, okay? So let's go ahead and go through the quiz. So I have it pulled up here, and let's go through number 1. So number 1, it asks you the setting of the crucible, okay? And this is something that we've talked about in detail, right? Salem was pretty new. I think it had been around for 40 years when the play begins. So obviously it's not Salem, Massachusetts today. It's not England today. We know that we're not in England. These are people who have come over to England. It's America, okay? Come over from England, excuse me. So the best choice here was D. Okay, so you want to be sure that you have D there. Okay, so if we keep going for number 2, in Act 1, Reverend Paris acts concerned about his daughter. What is the real reason for his concern? Okay, so I had a student bring up to me that some of these seemed like opinions. These are not opinions, right? These are just higher order questioning, and it makes you have to think about what you know about that character and put yourself in this character's shoes. Some of these answers could have gone either way, but if you thought really hard about the character and what we had discussed about him or her, you should have been able to come to the best answer. Okay, so he acts concerned about his daughter, but we know that that's not true about Reverend Paris. What is the real reason for his concern? Is it that he fears she will lose her soul? Is it fear for his reputation, fear that she will die, or fear that he will become ill? Okay, so we know that there's not really that much talk about her soul, right? There's not that much talk about her dying, and there's not that much concern about Paris being afraid of being afflicted by this. The one thing we know about Paris is that he is very concerned with his reputation. Okay, so the correct answer for number 2 was B. So you want to be sure you have that. Okay, here's a hint. Anytime we talk about Reverend Paris, you want to be sure you talk about power, you talk about reputation. Those are the things that are really important to him. And we know that he doesn't have a good reputation in the town, right? There are factions against him. So that's always on his mind. What can I do to make people like me so I can keep my job? What can I do about my reputation? Okay. For number 3, it says in Act 1, what frightening reason drives Mrs. Putnam to hunt for witches? Okay, so Mrs. Putnam sends her daughter Ruth out, right? And we know that Ruth is one of the girls that is afflicted with witchcraft, okay? We haven't actually met Ruth yet, but we know that she is dealing with the same symptoms as Betty, okay? So in Act 1, what frightening reason does Mrs. Putnam drives her to hunt for witches? A, anger at Reverend Paris. B, curiosity about the woods. C, the deaths of her children. Or D, sympathy for the ill children. Okay? Is she angry at Reverend Paris? We know she doesn't like him, but she's angry in general, but not specifically at Reverend Paris in Act 1. Okay? Is it her curiosity about the woods? We don't get any evidence of her being curious. Is it the deaths of her children? We do know that she has had 7 babies die, right? And Ruth is the only one survived, and now Ruth is ill, okay? So she wanted Ruth to go to the woods to find out why her babies had died, right? To try to either speak to them or get some answers, okay? And it's not that she has any sympathy for the ill children. I'm not really sure how that could have been an answer, okay? So your answer for number 3, you want to be sure that you have C for that, okay? And remember, while we're going through these, if you have gotten it wrong, you need to mark the right answer and then explain off in the margins why that's the correct answer. Okay, that's important. All right. In Act 1, which of the young women has the most influence over the others? Mercy Lewis. Okay, who is Mercy? you need to remember whose servant she is. Okay, we don't want to get these all mixed up. Mercy Lewis is the Putnam servant. Okay, Tituba is Paris's slave. Okay, Abigail is Paris's niece, and then Mary Warren is the proctor's servant girl. Okay, so be sure you have that all clear. All right, which of the young women has the most influence over the others? We talked in detail about how Abigail is the leader. Okay, all these other girls are followers, and she is the leader. She's the one plotting. She's the one threatening them. She's the one leading the charge on this. Okay, so you want to be sure for number 4, you have C. All right, number 5. Based on Act 1, what seems to motivate Abigail's actions? Okay, A, her wish to protect her uncle. B, her wish to help Betty. C, her wish to leave Salem. Or D, her wish to have power. All right, this is another one we talked in detail about. Okay, she has no interest in protecting her uncle. Her wish to help Betty, she's not really trying to help Betty, right? She wants Betty to wake up so that way she doesn't get in trouble. Okay, C, her wish to leave Salem. We don't have any evidence that she's trying to get out of Salem, but D would be the correct answer here. Okay, her wish to have power. We talk about how at the end of Act 1, she sees that once Tituba admits to participating in witchcraft, right, of being a witch, what does she then have the power to do? To accuse others, right? So that's when Abigail leaps up and is like, oh, I want to be with the Lord. I want, to be cleansed of my sins. And she does this. We know that she's manipulative, and she does this because she has the power to accuse people. And that's what she starts doing at the end of Act 1, right? She starts yelling out random names, people that she knows the other people in the room don't like. And then the other girls follow suit. Again, more evidence why Abigail is the leader there. Okay. For number 6, it asks you in Act 1, why is John Proctor guilty about Abigail? Okay. A, he has refused to hire her. We don't have any evidence that he ever refused to hire her. He did hire her, right? She was a servant in their household. We know that she was fired by Elizabeth, his wife, but there was no refusal to hire her. B, he has seduced and abandoned her. Okay, this would be the correct answer. All right. Number 6 is B. We know that Abigail is upset, right? There's a quote where she says, you put knowledge in my heart. You showed me these things about the people of Salem. You showed me love, and now you don't want anything to do with me. And he even says, I'll cut off my hand before I touch you again. And that's a pretty powerful thing for him to say. He has decided to be faithful to his wife and that they will no longer see each other. Okay. So he's not guilty about Abigail because he's accused her of witchcraft. Okay. He's not part of that, right? He's just there observing, trying to see what the fuss is. He has thrown her out of the church. There's no evidence that Abigail has been thrown out of the church. So again, for number 6, you should have had B. Okay. Number 7, what is Reverend Paris upset about in the opening of Act 1? Okay. So for this one, rumors of witchcraft circulating the community. Yeah, he is concerned about that. Okay. So we'll keep that one in mind. B, Abigail's dismissal from the Proctor household. Yeah, he's upset about that too. C, his daughter's condition and the possible connection to her inappropriate activities in the woods. Yeah, okay, this one's pretty detailed. So let's keep that in mind too. And then D, Tituba's influence over the children. Yeah, he is kind of concerned about that. Okay, so all of these could have been a possible answer, but it's your job to really kind of put the pieces together. Okay, what is he investigating in this? What is he trying to get down to the bottom of? He's trying to get down to the bottom of what the girls did in the woods and what exactly Betty had to do with it. Okay, so the best answer in this case is C. So you want to be sure you have that, okay? And that shows evidence throughout the text, right? If you read it carefully, this was indeed the best answer.